Immerse yourself in a world of metal and poetry in the middle of the American Great Plains at Porter Sculpture Park in Montrose, South Dakota. Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. A little while back, we were members of a service that hooked up RVers with free places to stay, or deeply discounted places to stay. It's called Harvest Hosts. Now, I won't be going into details about Harvest Hosts, but on our way to Badlands National Park, we stopped in Montrose, South Dakota and stayed the night at Porter Sculpture Park. Now, the elevator pitch of how Harvest Hosts works is you pay a membership fee and they connect you with places that will let you stay overnight for free. They do recommend that you patronize those businesses, go in, buy something, take a tour, whatever it does. But overall, you're staying for free. Now, the cost of that program is usually less than one night at a campground. Porter was one of those places that we stopped at. Now, we never would have heard of it had it not been for Harvest Hosts. So it worked out to our advantage. Porter was a little hard to find, though. At the time, I was using Waze for mapping. Even for the RV, we had a small travel trailer. It fit under most bridges, so I wasn't too worried about height. Now, in our Class A, I use a more RV-specific map programming for GPS or an app. I think I'm using RV Life, and it's not too bad. It's not the best, but we're not full-time yet. We are heading in that direction, but while we're still only part-time, I trust RV Life well enough to use it. So I'm using a more specific program, and it may be better, but Waze kept sending us in circles.
Go straight.
No, Lola says take a right.
Well, you'll hit mall traffic. Just go straight. 50 feet.
Yeah, but she said take a right.
Well, I'm telling you to go straight. 20 feet. Choose.
Baby, please.
Turn right. Choose.
Kept saying we had arrived. There was literally nothing there. After trying 3 times to find an entrance to the place said was our destination, which was basically looked like ranch land, barbed wire all around it, couldn't find an entrance anywhere. We stopped somewhere where we had at least a minimal signal because we didn't have a signal, so I couldn't change the directions. We switched over to another app, I think it was Google Maps, and it turned out that Porter was literally across the freeway from where Waze had taken us. So, if you're trying to find it and you happen upon a vast expanse of nothing, check another app if you're using Waze. It may still not be updated. I know Waze is user updated, but that's a little area that doesn't get a lot of traffic and not a lot of people go, so it may not be updated there. When we did finally find 45160 257th Street in Montrose, South Dakota, here is what we saw. We arrived on a dirt/gravel road, very rutted and covered in cow poop, which meant by the time we got to where we were parking, so was our truck and travel trailer. But hey, it was free. We found the owner. He directed us to where to park. Let us know that we couldn't run a generator overnight. I should mention most Harvest Host sites are simply parking areas to crash overnight. So there are usually no hookups, and generators are at the property owner/manager's discretion. So if you have to use that for, like, say, a CPAP machine or something like that, if you can't run that off of your 12 volt, you may not need to stay at these places. There are a few that have hookup. When I was a member, I didn't find there were enough of them to be worth signing up for a membership for Harvest Hosts to get those sites that have the hookups. Now, being a travel trailer, we had no generator, so no problem for us. We also figured it was so far north, it wouldn't be a big deal. We just open the windows and run a fan off a 12 volt inverter that I had, or a 12 volt receptacle that we had in the RV. Well, that night a very bad storm rolled in, as often does on the prairie. So the windows were mostly closed. I think we had 2 very small windows that we could open a little bit without getting rain in, and there was, of course, the emergency exit, so it's got that slant. It was hot. It wasn't going to kill us by any means, but it was not pleasant having 2 adults and 2 kids in a 16-foot travel trailer. It was rough, but we lived. Now, having survived the night, I still felt it was worth staying there. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk a little bit about the park. At a price of $10 per adult and $5 per kid, 13 through 17 years of age, under 13 are free, we were able to walk the self-guided tour of the loop, featuring over 60 sculptures. Huge, some of these are huge metal sculptures, and they had little signs with accompanying poetry. It's a third of a mile long, and it claims that it can be accessed by golf cart if you have mobility issues. I will say, when we were there, unless they have made some changes, you're going to have a hard time with a golf cart because the trail around the loop was a bit tight in some areas, very uneven terrain, and a dirt path. Mobility scooters and golf carts may have trouble with the terrain. If you've been recently and they've changed that, please let me know your opinion on the accessibility options in the comments below, because, as I said, it has been a few years since we've been there. The park operates from, I want to say, the end of March until mid-October. They do not update their webpage very frequently. It's a little outdated. But it does run from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Now, if you're staying there, obviously, you can stay there all night, but I don't think they want you walking around the loop after a certain time. Keep in mind, though, this is South Dakota, so weather can be unpredictable until May, and then after September. Even with rains, it can be unpredictable, but what I'm talking about here is where most of the country is getting rain. The northern plains can get snow, and lots of it. In fact, this is probably one of the few places that I've been that has gates across the freeway so that you can't get on it if there's too much snow. So if you're going early in the year or late in the year, keep an eye on those weather apps, and keep in mind also that the weather may change faster than the app. So Wayne Porter is the owner and artist. He's completely self-taught. Even if you think the art isn't quite up to par, the metalwork alone is impressive and worth a look if you're planning on being in the area. The art park has been featured on a number of news and travel sites and brings art to a very unexpected area. There are even stories behind a couple of the sculptures if you go to the webpage at portersculpturepark.com. If you look under the blog link there, you'll find some information on a couple of the sculptures. As with all forms of art, though, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and some may not find these sculptures worth the price of admission. But while these are no David or Venus de Milo, I felt it was worth stopping by, and the money we saved on our RV site more than made up for the cost of exploring the loop and the Harvest Host membership. Now, as I said, they do recommend that you patronize the businesses. This keeps these people adding their business to the Harvest Host site, so there's more places for RVers to do an overnight. They're not meant for long term. They're not meant for more than a night, maybe two at a few places. Most places won't even allow you to stay at a night. Porter was one of those that said one night. No generator, no hookups. Hey, you know what though? It worked out just fine. I completely understand why they recommend that you patronize those businesses, because they're not getting a kickback. They're not getting any money from Harvest Host. They're not getting any money from you staying there. So you're taking up parking space. You're using their facilities, if they have facilities. And it's to bring really awareness of their installation, their business, whatever it is. So they're reaching a market that they wouldn't normally reach by being a part of this. And, you know, the average cost of a campsite is now, you know, probably in the $90 to $100 range. Whereas when we were members of Harvest Host, I think it cost $79 for the year. So here at Porter, though, the art is there for you to enjoy, which means touching is allowed. I even saw some kids climbing. Some of these are interactive where you can walk inside it, and there's another set of sculptures inside. So just the outer area isn't the entire piece of art. You got more stuff when you go inside. If you are climbing on them, if you are even wandering around the park, do so at your own risk. This is no high dollar museum, and accidents can happen if experiencing the art in ways that it's not necessarily meant to be by design. It's been several years since we went. We still remember and plan on stopping by again on our next trip to South Dakota without kids. A lot of walking. The kids did not want to do a lot of walking. I don't know if you're experiencing this with your kids, but you know, they were glued to their phones, and one of them didn't even want to get out of the car. Now, if you're planning on staying there, whether through Harvest Host or another app like Campendium or you know, Travelers Welcome, whatever they are, there's a lot of them. You know, just understand rains can make the ground very muddy and difficult to navigate. This is, after all, a farm in the Great Plains that happens to be owned by a man with a passion for creating things. So first and foremost, it's a farm or ranch. I think it's more of a ranch than a farm. Secondly, is an art installation. You must be self-contained as well. He will allow generators during operating hours, but after operating hours, it must be quiet. Personally, I can't wait to get back up and hopefully see some stars this time around. We had too many clouds to see them last time. But I hope this gives you something to look forward to on your trip to South Dakota. If you stayed there or if you visited there, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.
Let's hit the road.